Hey there, chatters. I'm Nat.
And I'm Kat, and welcome to the Crime Chat. I am your forensic femme fatale. Natalie is your true crime addict connoisseur.
We're just two normal girls who obsess about dark crimes, evil minds, and occasionally the unknown.
And here is your disclaimer, chatters. The following crime chat contains adult content. Yes, today. And there will be violent scenarios
Yeah,
today, so your
just a bit.
listener discretion is advised.
Yes, you have been warned. And before we get into today's crime chat, Kat, what have you
Mm.
been up to?
So we did finish Only Murders in the Building.
Huh?
It was great.
Was it?
Oh, it was so funny because, it's like they, only do murders in the building, right?
Right.
And right at the last, like, second, it does tease for a potential for another season. But the lady died, like, right outside of the gate of the Arconia. And they're like, well, does this count as a murder in the building? And then she kind of comes to a little bit and then, like, throws her hand off over the gate, like, into the gate. I'm like, well, I guess it does now.
It's hilarious. That's so funny.
It's so, oh my God, it's so clever. It's just really, really good. Tia Leone was amazing
Love
this
her.
whole season. Yeah. And then I was able to, I don't want to say I forced him to watch Chris to watch Ghost Files Together Alone,
Mhm.
the three-part series that they did where they spent 24 hours in the Sorrel weed house. But I will say when I watched it again, I noticed some like extra stuff that I didn't really notice the first time. It was
Oh.
really cool. Yeah. So, for instance, there was one area, and I didn't notice this the first time, but like there was one area where Ryan recognized something that could be considered an orb, and he's not
Hmm.
an orb believer. Like 95% of the time, it's dust, it's,
Yeah.
whatever in the air,
Hmm.
dirt, And he pointed out, and the first time he said this, I couldn't see it, but
Hmm.
he said the reason why he thinks this is suspicious is because as the clips go along, the orb gets bigger and it kind of forms into what looks like human legs. And
Oh.
I did not see that the first time. I was like, I don't see this. But I kind of did see it like when we watched it again and I was like, okay,
Wow.
okay, I see you, Ryan. I see what you saying.
Yeah.
So let's see. Other than that, really, that's been it. Just trying to get things ready to go and
Hmm.
praying that my pool pump does not bust while we're
Hmm.
gone. I told you this. I've been spending hours of the last several days in the
Yeah.
backyard, which yesterday, not a big deal. 78 degrees, sunny, gorgeous.
Hmm.
The issue, chatters, is that I have a tree that's right next to my pool. And in the springtime, when the tree blooms, it's a Bradford pear.
Right.
So when it blooms, and in the fall, when the leaves die, so at the birth and at the death, the pool takes it all. But the last couple days, I've noticed that the pool, the leaves have been like clogging it.
Oh no.
And
That's not good.
I've had to like get in there and just like go through the filter and like kind of get everything all together. And I also was like, you know what? All these loose leaves that are on the ground, I gotta rake them.
Uh-huh.
I gotta get rid of them because all that's gonna do is when the wind blows, is gonna, just go right
Go
in the
right in
pool.
the pool.
So that was my thought process, right? Hours. I spent hours doing that yesterday. This morning I get up because it rained last night. Like I did nothing. It was just, now seriously though, it wasn't bad, but there was quite a good layer, and I've had to go into the filter again today and kind of like clean it out and skim the pool. I'm gonna do one other raking kind of tomorrow,
Mhm.
but it's like I can't like we're gonna be gone, and if there's
Yeah.
nobody here to like clean it, I may call the pool company tomorrow and be like, "Can you give me like two extra visits?" Like I'll
Yeah.
pay for like two extra visits. You don't have to like check the pH or anything like that, but just vacuum it and clean it kind of thing because obviously we
Yeah.
don't want the pool pump to like
Right.
anyway.
Exactly. But they sell those mesh inserts.
Yes. And
So
Chris
the leaves don't
ordered
even
one.
get there.
Yeah,
Okay.
Chris ordered one and I thought it was gonna be here today, but it's gonna be tomorrow, I guess, because it didn't come today. So it'll be here tomorrow and then
Mhm.
we leave the next day. So just in time. But Chris had great timing to be on shift for me to do that. So that's the shenanigans that I've been up to. I've been fighting leaves. Well, and then
Mm-hmm.
today, the other thing I was going to say is yesterday wasn't so bad because it was like sunny and 78. Today, it barely got into the 50s and it's windy.
Yeah, that's
And we have a
beautiful.
freeze warning.
Do you?
Nuh
So
I don't think it's
exciting.
tonight. I think it's tomorrow. No, not exciting.
Yes,
No.
for us, I am super excited. I am like ready. It's cold already, but it's like
hmm
60. So
That's
I'm like,
perfect.
I
It's
know
45 right now. But I know that's like this whole like nor'easter, like it's going, it's all over the place, right? So,
it is.
yeah. But that's it. What about you?
I haven't done anything since the last time we recorded, which is like less than a week ago. But I think we are like, I'm planning on doing the move to the other house for the holidays.
Yes.
Yeah, oh my God, there's so much. There's so much. But I think this year, I don't want to take anything out to decorate. I don't want
Okay.
to
Well, I mean,
unpack.
if you're gonna be moving, why? Yeah.
I know. I brought all the Christmas stuff there last year
Yeah.
and then I packed it away, all that stuff. I just don't want to unpack. I'm
Yeah.
like, you know what? This is going to be a Dollar Tree Christmas. And I've done that before. Let me
Sure.
tell you something. I've had parties where so normally I would put like maybe 6 to 7 Christmas trees, full size Christmas trees
Yes,
throughout the
yes.
house.
You've mentioned that. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of them was like a 13-foot Christmas tree.
Uh,
And what I would do is I would go to the dollar store and I would buy all of their holiday decorations, like those little
hmm
things, those little like things that you stick on a box or something, like the clips at the end, like,
Yeah.
like the little mistletoe and stuff. I would take that and I would decorate the entire house in that. And it probably cost me more money doing that, but nobody ever guessed it was from the Dollar Tree ever.
I
So, and it always looked
actually
good.
So I had to go get Biscuit's heartworm medication because he's gonna
Mhm.
have to take it while we're gone, and I was like, I need to get some more anyways. So I had to go get some more, and then Chris wanted me to pick up deodorant for him, and I was like, oh, there's a Dollar General right next door. Let me
Yeah.
go. I'm just, one less stop to make, right? So I go in the Dollar General, and they don't have his deodorant, and he's usually not too picky, but he's kind of picky about that. So I was like, well, I'm gonna have to stop anywhere else, and then I saw all the Christmas stuff that they had out.
Hmm.
But then I was like, I'm kind of good like on Christmas decorations. So I went and looked at Thanksgiving and I'm gonna have to send you a picture. So I got like these little like metal signs and then this other little, it's like a door hanger, but those like wooden beads that are
Hmm.
kind of used in craft stuff. So
Yeah.
it's white beads and it's in the shape of a pumpkin. It's got like a little flower on the top or whatever. And then there's this little thing that says thankful. And I thought
Hmm.
it was like $4, right?
Yeah.
Cute. It's adorable. And then I got
Hmm.
these little metal signs and one like little metal pumpkin. What I will say though is Dollar General with the Christmas stuff that they had out. You know how you have like the battery operated lights,
Hmm.
right? So they had color and they had clear, and I wanted clear. I picked up a box that said they were clear. And what were they? Color.
Color. Hmm.
So I have these like one kind of rectangle flower pot that I have one
Hmm.
thing in, and then the other side of the entryway, I have a kind of an oversized basket, and it still has the little pumpkin that was out there for Halloween, and I put just like leaves and stuff. So I was like, oh, let me get two of them, two of the little lights, and I'll kind of put it in there. So at nighttime, it kind of illuminates it a little bit. It's their color.
Yeah.
I left it. I'm like, whatever. But I have to take a picture because we also have orange lights that we put up for Halloween, like kind of on the eve and stuff, and leave them up through Thanksgiving. So
Right.
you said Dollar Tree, and I was like, yeah, I get it. Totally get it.
Yeah.
So- Good stuff.
Yes. So I think I'm gonna do the Dollar Tree magic, but I just, I don't know. All my entire life, I always had multiple. If you walked into a room, you didn't see a Christmas tree, it wasn't Christmas. So I always
Oh
got
yeah.
used to
Yeah.
putting a Christmas tree for every freaking room.
hmm
And it's fun. Like one year I did like burlesque Christmas trees and I went to Hobby Lobby and at the time, what was the other store? Joann's. And I bought
Joanne
like
Fabric.
Joann's, yeah, Joann's
Yeah.
fabric. I bought like ostrich feathers and like glam and glitz
Oh,
and
cool.
they were the sexiest Christmas trees you're ever gonna see. But it was just like creative. But now I'm like, I don't know if I want to do all that. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but that's about it. That's all I've been doing.
We're ready for the holiday. By the time this comes out, it'll be right before Thanksgiving. So
Yes.
happy Thanksgiving,
Happy
chatters.
Thanksgiving.
Let's talk about necromaniac mutilation. Something we
Yeah,
can all be
thanks.
thankful for. Oh
Ah,
Lord. So you wanted me to do an intro. I mean, we got a crazy, crazy story. Most people are familiar with the subject
yes.
of our topic today.
Mhm.
But you asked me to do an introduction on necromaniac mutilation, right?
Mhm.
All right. So necromaniac mutilation refers to the act of mutilating corpses, which was sometimes a practice associated with the occult art of necromancy. This could
Mhm.
involve dismemberment or disfigurement of a dead body, often performed as part of ceremonies or rituals for the purpose of summoning spirits. This
Mhm.
practice is sometimes categorized under death magic and often performed in graveyards or other somber locations. Necromancy is also occasionally used in more of a general sense to refer to black magic or witchcraft as a whole.
Mhm.
Now, the word necromaniac can refer to two different things: someone with an abnormal or obsessive interest in death and dead bodies, called necromania. This is related to a morbid psychological condition. And then, two, which is more common, a person who practices necromancy, often someone who practices dark magic, called a necromancer.
Mhm.
I like that word, necromancer. It's like a dancer, like dance with the devil, dance with the dead. Now, some necromancers would perform rituals that included the mutilation and consumption of some corpses, along with other morbid practices like wearing the deceased's clothing.
Ooh.
Mm.
Ew.
The term mutilation is the infliction of a severe and disfiguring injury or an active instance of destroying, removing, or severely damaging a limb or other body part of a person or animal, living or dead.
Mhm.
Examples of mutilation include evisceration. I had to do the pronunciation. Evisceration, which is the removal of internal organs, or flaying, which is the removal of the skin. Now, the
Mhm.
prefix necro means death, corpse, dead tissue, and that's a Latin term, but it was originated from the Greek language necros, Nekros, which means dead body, corpse, or dead person. Keeping
Mhm.
that prefix necro in mind, I want to play a game.
Oh boy.
Insert jigsaw.
Okay.
Want to play a game. I can't do a jigsaw impression. That was the best I got. I came up with a quiz to check your necro knowledge.
Oh boy. Okay. I'm gonna fail this. I don't have really necro knowledge, but
Oh,
sure.
I think you'll get
Let's do
some.
it.
Well,
Yeah? Okay. Oh
this is,
God.
you're going to guess the necro suffix. Necro is a prefix, right? So it'll be necro something. I'm going to
Uh-huh.
give you a definition and a word
Uh,
that starts with necro, and you'll have to
uh-huh.
guess the suffix. There's
Okay.
only five.
Okay.
You got this.
Oh boy.
I'm
Okay.
dead set on you getting it.
Oh boy.
You know me, I'm like a literary nerd.
I know.
So I know.
Okay.
All right. Number one. What is a person called who writes obituary notices? Do you want a hint? So it's necro something,
Right. Obituary notices.
and its ending is related to someone who writes an account of the life and the actions of a person. So somebody who would write that kind of thing.
Oh, I don't know what that person is called. I know like the not a eulogy, but
No,
like
think of somebody who writes a book about themselves or somebody else.
a necrobiography, like a
Yeah,
necro
well,
autobiography.
necrographer. Like a
Necrographer.
biographer, it's a
I would have
necrographer.
okay, I would have never came up with that word,
I will
but
say that's the toughest one. I try to give you
mm,
some hints to that one. While the term necrographer, good lord, this term is considered obsolete by some in its meaning for someone who writes obituaries or who writes about death in a general sense. The
mm,
term necrographer is also synonymous with an obituarist and a necrologist. A
okay.
necrologist compiles a list of deaths or an obituary of a single person, while necrology can refer to a single obituary or a comprehensive list of deaths, like such as people who died in like a specific event, like a soldiers who
Mm,
died in battle or passengers who died in a car crash, that kind of thing.
okay.
Okay, number two. What is it called when a person has a morbid attraction toward the dead?
Necrophiliac.
Yay!
Yay! Yeah, okay.
Necrophilia! Necrophilia involves a sexual attraction to a dead body, meaning people who have an exclusive interest in sex with the dead and cannot perform at all for a living
Ew.
partner. Surprisingly, necrophilia dates back hundreds of years and was documented in Greek mythology, ancient cultures, and the Greco Roman period, the Middle
Hmm.
Ages, and in the modern era. Sexual
Mhm.
contact with a corpse is illegal, chatters, okay?
Yeah.
And in many
This is
places, it is widely considered morally wrong.
okay,
It is
good.
recognized as a paraphilia by organizations like the World Health Organization and the American Psychiatric Association. Paraphilias are persistent and recurrent sexual interests, urges, fantasies, or behaviors of marked intensity involving objects, activities, or even situations that are atypical in nature. So,
Mm.
good job.
Okay.
I knew, see this. Okay, number 3. This word means post-mortem examination. Again, starts with necro. In your hint, the ending of the word means to see. A postmortem examination. Necro.
To see what? Okay. I don't know. Necro
What is a postmortem examination?
after they die, you do a necro autopsy?
N-
No.
necropsy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like 20% there. Okay.
You
This
can
is a
be
total
it.
loss, people. This is
No,
pretty
a
good.
postmortem examination. I'm going to get to the difference actually here in a minute. So the term
Okay.
necropsy usually refers to an autopsy for non-human body, while the terms
Mhm.
autopsy, postmortem, and obduction are usually for the human body. But for
Okay.
many species that exhibit few external symptoms or that are not suited to detailed clinical examination, like zoo animals, poultry, those kind of things. So it's a
Right.
common method used by veterinary physicians to come to a diagnosis. So it's necropsy. You had it
Okay.
though. That's why I was like, and so the suffix opsy means to see.
Okay.
And then if you think about it, autopsy. So I think aw is body. So you're seeing the body. Autopsy.
Hmm.
Yeah. I'm such a nerd. I know. Okay. Number 4. What is it called when someone has an abnormal fear of corpses or is horrified of death?
Necrophobia.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Necrophobia is a specific phobia, which is an irrational fear of dead organisms, i.e.,
Hmm.
corpses, as well
Yeah.
as things associated with death, like coffins, tombstones, funerals, cemeteries, etc. With
Yeah.
all types of emotions, obsession with death becomes evident in both a fascination and an objectification. Many cases of necrophobia are caused by traumatic incidences such
Hmm.
as a close loved one or a pet dying or encountering a dead body.
Hmm. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, last one.
Do it.
You're 3 for 4. You're doing
Am
great.
I? Are you
Yeah,
sure? Okay.
100%. Yes. Number 5. This word means the dissection of dead bodies. So your hint is it's related to necropsy, but this suffix means cutting, especially a surgical incision or a removal.
Necrosection, necrodissection.
Close.
Okay.
If
Give me
you if you go into the brain, it's a
oh, necrobotomy.
close.
Okay. What is
Necrotomy.
necrotomy? Okay. Never have gotten that. Okay. I would have never gotten
Necrotomy.
that.
Yes, you would have.
No, I
Yes. If you're
wouldn't.
thinking like lobotomy or whatever kind of otomy, right? So in the medical context, necrotomy specifically refers to the surgical excision of dead or necrosed tissue,
Okay.
particularly dead bone. And this is where it's like gangrene or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
where you have to remove all that tissue, remove bone, that kind of stuff. Diabetics, when they have to have amputated because all that tissue is dead, right?
Yeah.
So the medical procedure is performed when the dead tissue causes serious complications, such as an infection or widespread inflammation, which can be life-threatening. The goal is to remove the dead tissue to allow living tissue to heal. Now, while
Hmm.
necrotomy refers to the incision or cutting of dead tissue, necrectomy is the removal or excision of dead tissue. So, thank you for playing Guess the Necro.
That was good. I learned a lot, actually. That was very
Yeah.
informative.
And when I was writing this, I was like, man, there's so many necros, right? There's so many necro
Yeah.
uses of the word. where did it come from? That kind of thing. And I was like, I want to play a game. I want to test you. And it was stupid. Well, I say stupid. It was nerdy because it was a word game.
Yeah.
And,
No, it's great. And
words.
well,
Well, that's
thank
what
you for that.
you're welcome. I hope that
That's
was
awesome.
fun and you learned something. And that's
Yes.
why we're here, chatters. We're here to learn.
Yeah, disturbing facts. You can find them here at your crime chat, your local crime chat.
Where would we be without it?
Exactly.
We wouldn't be a crime chat without it.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, you ready to get into my story?
Should
Okay.
I be snacking on something at this point?
You know what? This
I don't get
doesn't
grossed
phase
out,
us.
so it's fine.
Right. So we're
Yeah.
good. We're good.
Yeah. I remember when we would go to autopsies, there would be some people that, wouldn't eat beforehand or had eaten beforehand and they would
Ugh.
get the smell and everything like that and they would get sick. I never had any of those like physiological
Yeah.
reactions.
Yeah.
The smell obviously was one thing, especially when there was one body. It was the middle of July, South Carolina. She was found
Oh.
in the trunk of a car. She'd been missing for
Oh.
like 3 or 4 days.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it didn't
Oh.
smell too good.
Mm-mm.
Like some people have issues, with that. So these things do not bother me.
Well, the issues that people have actually is built into our autonomy. Like it's built into our brain.
Hmm.
So the reason why that smell is so gross to us is because it signals that there is trouble and we are to flee.
Something's wrong here.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's there's a reason why we all kind of have the same like ew because
Yeah.
naturally it's part of our makeup. Our brain tells us like this
Yeah.
isn't good. Like
So it's not normal to watch a body get cut open and your
what? No.
organs weighed.
It's definitely no, it's above normal. Definitely not normal, special.
Special. Well, that's what
Okay.
they called me. Special.
All right. So my story today is about Edward Theodore Gein, also known as the Butcher of Plainfield. Now, I know you've heard of this guy. Who hasn't
Yes.
heard of this guy?
Yes. He's a source of many fears.
Yeah, he really is. So I
Hmm.
figured why not cover it? Because honestly, I told you I watched briefly
Yes.
the Netflix Monster series and I had to turn it off.
Yeah. And I told Chris you said that because when we were
Yeah.
flipping through the other night, like trying to figure something out to watch, and I was like, do you want to watch this? And on my Netflix, it shows it's on episode 3, but I haven't watched it.
Just watch one episode. You're going to be like,
And
eh.
well, I'm just saying, like, I haven't watched it. So he's
Yeah.
like, it says that you watched it. You're on episode 3. And I was like, I haven't watched it. It must be our house sitter. Like, she
Oh,
probably
yes.
logs in and, like, watches, I would say more
Mm-hmm.
so just because I have more interaction with her. But, like, she probably logs into my stuff and, like, watches it. And that's fine. And I was like,
Or if you fall
I haven't
asleep,
sall it.
it'll just autoplay, right?
Oh,
Netflix
yeah,
will
I'm sure.
autoplay.
But yeah, usually I fall asleep to Forensic Files. So,
All right. So there are killers who shock us, and then there are those who reshape our nightmares.
yeah.
Edward Theodore Gain wasn't a criminal mastermind. He was something worse. An ordinary man who lived alone on a quiet farm in Wisconsin, hiding a world of horror behind boarded up windows and locked doors.
Mm,
His story doesn't start with blood, it starts with a boy, quiet, obedient, painfully devoted to his mother.
mhm,
With years of loneliness, obsession, mental instability, and eventually insanity, became one of the most chilling and unforgettable crimes in American history.
mm,
This real life horror story became the literal blueprint for some of the darkest movie monsters. Norman
mhm.
Bates, Leatherface, Buffalo Bill. But
Yes.
before the Hollywood legends, there was a real man with a shovel and a lantern and an imagination corrupted by isolation. This is the life of Ed Gein, the man who turned Plainfield, Wisconsin into the setting of a waking nightmare.
Mm,
Edward Theodore Gein was born in La Crosse County, Wisconsin on August 27, 1906, the second of two sons to George Philip Gein and Augusta Gein, both of German descent.
mhm,
His only sibling, Henry George Gein, and he was 5 years older than Ed. So Augusta was very religious,
mhm.
domineering Lutheran woman who strictly
Yes.
controlled every aspect of the family life. She often delivered sermons to her sons about the filth of the outside world,
Mm,
condemning alcohol, sexual desire, especially women.
mhm.
whom she described as naturally promiscuous, deceitful, and instruments of the devil. Oof, my
Mm,
lord, woman. She realizes she's a woman too, right? Like,
yeah, and
oh,
she's
the
trying to
hypocrisy.
protect him from the person that she is.
Right,
Hmm.
exactly.
Yeah.
Every afternoon, she would gather her sons and read the Bible to them, most often from the Old Testament and the Book of Revelations.
Mm.
Now, I'm sure you're familiar with the Book of Revelations,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Okay, so these are not like short and sweet.
No.
These are pretty like violent stories.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible things are going on in these stories. So she's like picking like the worst of the worst to tell her boys, her young
Like
children. Like,
scared
oh,
straight.
steer straight, right?
Scared straight. Yep.
She focused on passages about death, divine punishment, and
Hmm.
moral corruption. Ed listened devoutly, absorbing her worldview.
Hmm.
He idolized his mother. He would later become pathologically attached to her and fixate
Attached.
attached, a
Attached.
fixation that would shape his life into his crimes. Yeah.
Mhm.
George Gain, his father, worked various jobs like carpenter or a firefighter. At one point, he even owns like a local grocery store, and then he sold it so he can move his family
Mhm.
to an isolated farm,
Mhm.
155 acres they were sitting on.
Mm.
And this was just outside of Plainfield, Wisconsin, around 1914. The property was bleak, overgrown, and miles away from neighbors, giving Augusta total control of her son's social
Mm.
environment without caring. Like
Mhm.
they were literally by themselves.
Yeah.
She discouraged all outside friendships, insisting that contact with townspeople would corrupt them. George, meanwhile, was a violent alcoholic,
Mm.
frequently beating his sons, sometimes hitting Ed so hard that his ears would ring for hours,
Mm.
which is like concussion level
Mhm.
damage.
Mhm.
Augusta did nothing to stop the abuse. She believed it was a father's duty to discipline
Of
sin.
course. Yes.
It's
Does she have
gross.
a belief of what the wife's duty is? To submit to the husband?
Well, I guess she missed that part in the Bible,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Choosing
Yeah.
selectively.
Neighbors later recalled that George was known as a drunk and Augusta was
Mhm.
a zealot. Young Ed was simply known as strange but polite.
Oh, who could blame him for being strange?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Ed left the farm to attend Plainfield Elementary School, where the teachers and classmates remembered him as quiet, shy, and awkward, prone
Mhm.
to laughing randomly. He often wore like ill-fitted clothes, but he was always clean. But he
Mhm.
was socially backwards. He was very. I mean, he wasn't socialized as a young
Yeah.
kid, so
He
he
had his
he was kind of
brother.
like,
I mean,
yeah, and the farm.
in the farm. Yeah.
So laughing out loud for nothing what was normal to him, like just
Mhm.
like giggling about something that he thought he didn't, have those social cues that you learn at a young age.
Right. Yeah.
So now when Ed tried to befriend other children, Augusta punished him harshly, calling the townfolk sinful.
Mm.
Still, he performed well academically, particularly in reading and comprehension, showing signs of above average intelligence for his age. So he was smart.
Right.
Now, outside of class, he was a hard worker, performing endless farm chores, milking cows, mending fences, cutting
Mhm.
firewood, and helping in like the small family garden.
Mhm.
But socially, he remained stunted. A boy raised in silence, taught to fear women and worship guilt, basically. Now, on April 1st, 1940, George Gain died of heart failure at age 66.
Mhm.
Despite his father's abuse, Ed attended the funeral and later described it as the day peace finally came to the house.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow. That's
that's
powerful.
difficult. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is powerful. With George gone, Ed and Henry began working as handymen and doing odd jobs as
Mhm.
laborers around Plainfield.
Mhm.
They were considered reliable by the townspeople. Ed, in particular, found steady work as a babysitter for local children, a detail that would become really super chilling in hindsight.
Mhm.
But he was more comfortable with children than adults because they
Yeah.
accepted him where adults were judging him.
Yes. Yep.
So I could see that too. So he probably wasn't a threat to children.
Yeah. Well, even with
So,
his like being smart as far as like academically with reading, writing or
mhm,
whatever, it doesn't
yeah,
necessarily mean that he's intelligent or
right.
developed those certain things. So it would make sense that he would be more comfortable around children.
Yeah. Henry, however, the brother, started dating a divorced woman with 2 children and began criticizing Augusta's influence over Ed, calling her teachings twisted. Ed always defended his mother as if she were a saint. On May 16th, 1944, the brothers were burning bushes on the property when the fire spread uncontrollably. The local
Mm.
fire department helped extinguish it by the nightfall, but Henry was missing.
Oh
They found
no.
Henry's body like hours later, face down, and he was dead. The
Hmm.
coroner listed the cause as heart failure, claiming that there were no burn marks. But when the body was examined, there were bruises that were visibly seen on his head. So,
Oh.
yeah, that's a little
So
weird. Why?
was the fire maybe he was knocked down and out and the fire went around him to maybe like hide the body?
I don't know. I think that, and this is actually in the Netflix show. I did see that part of how
Okay.
they reconstructed this situation.
Yeah.
And it was that Ed had an argument with Henry
Hmm.
about mom, and
Hmm.
Ed hit him with a shovel.
Hmm.
And then when he realized that Henry was dead, he tried to cover it up by doing a controlled fire on the farm,
That's
which
what I
is
was thinking.
normal.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I was
So,
thinking. Like he was probably like hit, knocked out, or at least knocked out first, and
yeah.
then the fire happened. Yeah.
Hmm. So, though no foul play was suspected, no autopsy was performed, and the case was officially ruled an accident.
Hmm.
Which is odd to me because if you're saying the coroner listed the cause as heart failure, how is that an accident? It's nature. But you're
Yeah.
highlighting that it was an accident. So I don't know. Like it's just weird
So
how this
it should say
oh,
natural.
it should say natural, but it
Yeah.
doesn't.
Yeah.
Later, investigators and psychologists concluded that Henry's death may have been intentional,
Mm.
the Cain and Abel moment of
Yes.
Ed's life,
Yeah.
marking this as possibly his first violent act.
Okay.
So now, with Henry gone, Ed was alone with his mother, who soon suffered a paralyzing stroke.
Hmm.
He devoted himself completely to care for her, cooking, cleaning, praying by her bedside. And it was super creepy because they did this too in the Monster Netflix thing.
Wow. Yeah.
And they have a scene where she's completely naked in the bed and he's washing her in a very creepy way.
Well, no wonder
Because
Norman Bates was developed from this.
right. Well, and
Mother.
Ed is obsessed with his mother.
Hmm.
So, like, yeah. But then again, what a terrible woman. So,
Yeah.
like, that was probably kind of like God's way of saying, fuck you. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know. But still. So,
Well,
anyway, let's
I have
move
a
on.
question. How were they getting money? Like, if he's not working, he's at home as her caretaker, cooking,
Hmm.
cleaning, praying. Like,
Yeah.
that doesn't make money. Like, how
No,
are they
but
living?
the money situation comes up later.
Okay.
But
Okay.
like right now, he's working odd jobs.
Okay. So here and there, kind of.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
No, they were poor. They were very,
Well,
very
that's what I'm
poor.
thinking. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So in 1945, Ed took Augusta to visit a local farmer named Smith who was beating his dog outside. A woman came out to plead with him to stop, but Smith killed the animal anyway.
Hmm.
Augusta was enraged, not by the cruelty of the animal, but by the presence of a woman who she deems Smith's harlot. Like
Harlem.
she went berserk that a woman came out of the house.
Okay. Can I tell you a quick story about a harlot?
Okay.
Not to divert, but like when I was in survivor school, they role play whatever, and you're trying to escape, evade, type of situation. And they have role players that come in and really kind of put you through a number. And at the time, I was the only female who had been captured. So I was the harlot. I was the concubine, the one
Okay.
fetching the water and feeding the men.
Oh my gosh. Okay. What?
Laugh at that now, but like that's I don't know. They just prepare you for like try to prepare you for like the worst type of situation if you were ever to be, captured by the enemy.
So soon after, Augusta suffered a second stroke and died on December 29th, 1945, at age 67.
Hmm.
Her death destroyed Ed.
I
He later
bet.
said it was the moment the world went dark. According to biographer Harold Schechter, Gein lost his only friend and one true love. He was absolutely alone in the world. Psychiatrists would later describe this as the psychological breaking point,
Mm.
the moment Ed's loneliness fused with obsession, grief, and religious guilt.
Mm.
After his mother's death, Ed Gein became completely isolated on the family farm. He stayed there alone, earning money through odd jobs around the town, handyman work, painting, helping local farmers with their harvesting. He boarded up every room his mother had used, including the upstairs, the
Hmm.
parlor, and the living room, sealing them off completely. They stayed exactly the way she left them, neat and untouched, and kind of like a shrine for her memory or to her
Sure.
memory.
Yeah.
The rest of the farmhouse, however, fell into ruin. Piles of trash, rotting food, and clutter filled the halls. Ed lived in a small, filthy room next to the kitchen where he slept, ate, and read like by a camp, like a lamplight. Like he
Hmm.
didn't have electricity, so he had like this
Hmm.
little,
Oh, like
we
an old
call them.
kerosene light
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
That I have one of those.
Do you? They're beautiful when
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
lit. Yeah.
Mine's red.
Around this time, Gain became obsessed with pulp fiction magazines and crime
Mm-hmm.
books,
Mm.
especially those filled with stories of cannibals, murderers, and Nazi war crimes.
Well, 'tis the era.
hmm One story in particular fascinated him: The Bitch of Buchenwald, the story of Elise Cook, a book of a German concentration camp commander's wife who was
Hmm.
accused of selecting prisoners with tattoos to have their skin turned into lampshades and other objects. This lady is real. I looked her up. She
Yeah.
is significantly evil and she looks it too.
Well, is this like where the original like projector thing kind of came on? Because I imagine if you have the lamp and you have the skin with the tattoos, that it would project some kind of something onto the wall.
Oh no, I don't know. That's sick. See, that's crazy. That's nuts.
I don't know. That's just what went. Like, it's like
God,
a pretext or a prefix
that's
to
actually, yeah,
a projector of some sort,
that's
or like the
great.
kids' toys. You know what I'm saying? Like the kids'
Uh-huh.
toys, the little thing that you would look through, right?
That's a valid point. Yes, I don't know. That's crazy. I didn't think of it that way. Oh my Lord.
Way to
Okay,
go,
so
bitch!
Gain read and reread the stories about her, fixating
Wow.
on the gruesome details.
Yeah.
By 1951, Gain began receiving a small federal farm subsidy,
Mm.
which helped him survive. He sometimes worked with the Plainfield Municipal Road Crew or the local crop threshing teams to earn some
Hmm.
extra income. So he
Is
did
this
have money
also
coming
like
in.
a government subsidy for like post-war World War II kind of government assistance?
It's a farmer's subsidy.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it has anything to
Well,
do with war.
well, so what I'm thinking is like, so World War II, all the men are gone, right? The women are the ones
hmm
working. So when all the men come back, there's like no jobs for them. And there was some government assistance kind of during that time. And I think the farms, to get the farms kind of back up to where they used to be pre-war,
hmm
I think there was, I could be wrong, but
I don't know.
I'm just wondering if that was because it just fits the era time frame.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Sorry, I keep diverting. I'm
It's
so
okay.
interested in the story.
No, it's okay. So between 1946 and 1956, he sold an 80-acre parcel of land that had belonged to his brother Henry.
Hmm.
And with that money combined with the government assistance, kept him afloat. But his social world had completely disappeared. Neighbors described him as quiet but odd, always polite but increasingly strange. He rarely invited like anybody on the land or inside, of course, not inside his home, but he
Well, yeah.
just was a total loner. Now, on December 8th, 1954, Mary Hogan, an owner of a local tavern in Pine Grove, Wisconsin, disappeared
Hmm.
without a trace.
That's right. Yes.
Locals gossiped about it for
Mhm.
months.
Yeah.
One man joked to Ed Gain, "Looks like Mary's gone missing." Ed Gain quietly replied, "She's not missing. She's at my house." Everybody laughed and assumed that he was kidding,
Of
but he
course.
wasn't. Yeah.
Oh.
3 years later, on the morning of November 16th in 1957, Plainfield was buzzing with activity. It
Hmm.
was the start of the deer hunting season. So
Hmm.
most residents were out in the woods. That morning, 58-year-old Beatrice Warden, owner of the Warden hardware store, vanished.
Hmm.
Witnesses recalled seeing the store's truck pull away
Hmm.
around 9:30 a.m., but no one assumed anything until later that day when she really was not around. Like
Yeah.
everything was open, the store was left open, people were coming in,
People were
going, and
leaving money like on the counter, right?
yep, and
Like
there
buying
was,
things like nobody's around. Well, here's, I'm taking this.
I
Here's
know,
my money. Yeah.
yeah, back then when the honor system worked. Yep.
Yeah. What happened?
So the police were called, but this was around like 5 p.m. So
Hmm.
this is a while. And her son was the deputy sheriff, and his name was Frank Warden. When he got there, he noticed that the cash register was open and there was
Hmm.
blood on the floor, and his mother was missing. Frank
Mm.
immediately remembered somebody that he was questioning outside. They told him that that day they did see Ed, and he was asking to order some antifreeze, and that he said he would return the next day to buy some. So he
Hmm.
did stop in there.
Okay.
So sure enough, they checked the receipts, and the last person to buy anything at the store that day was at Gein, and it was a
Mm.
gallon of antifreeze. So I guess he needed
Mm.
more than a gallon. I don't know.
So the last like register, like certified purchase
Mm-hmm.
was his. Yeah.
Receipt, yeah. That evening, police located Gain at a grocery store in West Plainfield and arrested him without incident.
Hmm.
Soon after, the sheriff's department searched his farmhouse. Now, inside the dark, cluttered house, deputies uncovered evidence of terrible crimes, but the
Mm.
worst discovery came outside in a cold, dusty shed behind the farmhouse.
Hmm.
There they found Beatrice Warden's decapitated body hanging upside down from the rafters, her ankles tied to a wooden crossbar and her wrists bound with rope.
Hmm.
Her body had been dressed out like a deer, which is
Hmm.
lingo for hunters to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, that's when they hang them and
They
it's called
blood them, they
dressing them.
bleed them.
They
They
bleed them
bleed
out.
them.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And skin them
Oh,
a certain way. Yep.
yeah. That's how like they prepare, I guess, for the game or the meat to
Hmm.
start getting the meat. Oh,
Yeah.
so
Because that's the
she had been
best way to do it for the best tasting meat is when it's
nutty.
dressed properly. Yep.
Yeah. Oh. She had been shot with a 22 caliber rifle, and the mutilations that had been done after were done after her death.
Hmm.
So the scene was so horrific that even most seasoned officers were left in shock. What they were about to find inside the farmhouse would make history and reveal that Beatrice Warden was only one piece of a much larger nightmare. So, searching Ed Gaines' house, authorities found, and here's a list,
Oh boy.
just a simple list. There's more, but here's the simplest. They
Oh
found
wait, there's more.
whole human bones and fragments, a waste basket made of human skin covering several chairs, human skulls mounted on bedposts,
Hmm.
female skulls, some with the top sawn off of their top of their head.
Oh, like a cap
Mm-hmm.
or whatever of the head. Yeah.
Yeah. Bowls made out of human skulls, like
Hmm.
soup bowls.
Yeah.
A corset made from a female torso, skinned from shoulders to waist. Leggings made from human leg skin.
Oh gee.
A mask made from skin from female heads.
Yeah.
Mary Hogan's face mask in a paper bag. Mary Hogan's skull in a box. Beatrice's Warden's entire head in a burlap sack.
Yeah, I
Beatrice
remember that.
Warden's
Yeah.
art in a plastic bag in front of Gaines' potbelly stove. I guess he was going to eat that.
Mm.
9 vulvas in a shoebox.
Okay, why does this sound like the 12 Days of Christmas?
It's terrible. Oh my God.
Nine volvas in the
Girl, all right, stop. You're a good singer. Can you create
shoebox.
that song using this list? The Ed Gain
Uh,
Christmas song?
yes, but let me get it prepared.
Okay, that would be so funny. Gruesome, but funny. Oh my God. All right, back to the scory list. All right, next. A young girl's dress and vulvas of 2 females judged to have been about 15 years
Mm.
old.
Mm.
A belt made from female nipples.
Yes.
4 noses. A pair of lips on a window shade drawstring. He used it as a decorative thing to go on the
Oh,
drawstring of a
okay.
shade. And
Two
a
pairs of
lampshade.
lips and a lampshade from a skin of a mint
Yeah.
face.
Oh, you could change the words.
No, I know.
Okay. And a lampshade made from skin of a human face, which probably, I think the nipple belt is probably the most famous one.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
So the evidence found inside Ed Gain's farmhouse was so disturbing that investigators sent it all to the Wisconsin State Crime Laboratory, where each item was photographed and documented before being decently disposed of.
Yes. Yep.
When questioned, Ed calmly told investigators that between 1947 and 1952, he had made about 40 nighttime trips to three local cemeteries.
Hmm.
He said he often went when he describes himself as dazed or in a trance-like state.
Oh, like a
According,
psychotic episode or something?
yeah, like he doesn't
Yeah.
really remember, but he remembers like he's in a fog.
Yeah, yeah.
According to Gain, on roughly 30 of those visits, he would come to his senses before doing anything and then go home empty handed. But
Hmm.
on the other nights, he admitted to digging up freshly buried bodies, choosing middle aged women who reminded him of his mother. Ugh.
Mm.
He would then take parts from their bodies home, using their remains to craft personal items and decorations. He
Hmm.
told police he tried to preserve their skin, tanning it like leather for what he called a paraphernalia. Yeah. Yeah, paraphernalia is
Paraphernalia.
right. What's
Tanning
the
leather for
definition
what
of
he called
pair?
paraphernalia. So paraphernalia is like the first thing that comes to mind is
Oh,
like drug paraphernalia, like
yeah.
just accessories, like things that you put together that would be
Hmm.
for the act of ingesting or selling drugs.
Okay. All right. So now, when pressed for proof, Gain led investigators to the grave sites, the exact
Hmm.
locations. State crime lab technician Alan Wilowski helped open the graves.
Hmm.
Inside each, they found wooden coffins buried shallow in a shallow grave with sandy soil,
Hmm.
which indicates that yes, they were new grave sites and that they were
Sure. Yeah.
disturbed, and also
Yeah.
they weren't buried back in the depthness that they should have been, and they weren't
Yeah.
settled. The earth didn't get hard; it was still sand.
Yep.
And also on top, they noticed that the top boards of each coffin normally it ran lengthwise, but these were running like long ways or crossways. Like they weren't they he didn't take like he threw it all back together. He just like didn't care what it looked like when he put it
Oh.
back in the ground.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yep. Yep.
So investigators concluded that Gain had likely robbed the graves just days after funerals
Oh,
when the
yes.
soil was still soft. The
Yeah.
findings confirmed most of his confessions, proving that he had not been fabricating any of his claims.
Yep.
Soon after his mother's death, Gaines said that he began creating what he called a woman suit. His goal, he told detectives, was to become his mother, to literally crawl into her skin. I
Ugh.
know. I
Ugh.
know. Ugh.
Ugh. I will say I have, so to get fingerprints of people who have decomposed quite a bit, right? You're able to in water, like you can put the skin, and I did this when I went to one autopsy, where like you put the skin when it's kind of you pump it up with water and you put it on your finger to like reshape it to fingerprint.
Mhm.
I had a dead
Oh.
person's finger on my
Oh.
skin on my finger.
Oh my God. Ew, ew, ew. Okay.
The things you do for forensic science.
Yes.
I love it.
So, when asked whether he committed sexual acts with the corpses, he denied it, saying simply, "They smell too bad. No, ew. Why would I do that? Really, Ed? Why
Okay.
stop there?"
All right.
During further investigation at the state lab, Ed also confessed to shooting 51-year-old Mary Hogan. So he
Okay.
did cop to
The
that
first one.
that
Yep.
murder, even though her
Yep.
body was literally in the house.
Right.
He claimed that, yeah, I believe I did it. I just can't remember the details. I was in a fog.
So I'm wondering, and then maybe this is too far off, but like people who have trauma sometimes have a hard time remembering, right? So it's like a body's natural reaction to bury that trauma. Is
Hmm.
that something, is he using it as an excuse or is it really something that he actually cannot remember? Like a trauma response?
I don't think he's making this up. I think
Okay.
he literally can't remember.
Okay.
I
But and
honestly
why
think
at this point why would
his
he lie, right?
right. I don't
Yeah.
think I don't think he had the capacity to expertly lie to a
Yeah.
professional. I
Yeah.
think that he was being honest about, like what he remembered and what he didn't. Yeah, I think he was a stunted man who probably had the personality of a very timid well, he
Mm-hmm.
did, a very, very timid person.
Mm-hmm.
So he wasn't looking to lie or get one over on the police. He was probably very
Yeah.
scared at this time. So he was
Yeah.
just just coming clean, and he was whatever he couldn't come clean with, he was just being honest about his mental state at the time. And I believe
Mm-hmm.
it. I totally believe
Okay.
it.
Yeah. And I could see some doing something like this, whether you chose to do it or not, is there's
Hmm.
still trauma involved with that.
Yeah. So one local teenager who had often gone to movies and baseball games with Gain
Hmm.
told police that he had seen shrunken heads inside Gain's home.
Hmm.
Gain had explained that they were souvenirs sent by his cousin from the Philippines during World War II. When police examined them, they discovered that they weren't shrunken heads at all, but they were actual just human facial skins carefully removed from corpses and like used like they were just pieces of
Oh,
face
yeah.
skin
Like
for the
he would,
face.
yeah, he would just, I'm gonna wear this face and then put it on
Right.
like a,
Well, these weren't like yeah, they were pieces, fragments of those. So, but
oh,
also this tells you that he wasn't exactly hiding it from the neighborhood.
sure.
If this kid saw it, he
Well,
was
yeah.
literally he was
Yeah.
like he was not there.
Yeah.
So
Huh.
during one interrogation, the sheriff reportedly lost his temper and slammed Ed Gaines' head against a brick wall several times. Because
Dude.
of this, Gaines' first confession was ruled inadmissible in court. The sheriff later died of heart failure in 1968 at age 43, and many people in
Mm.
Plainsfield said that the trauma of what he saw at Gaines' house
Hmm.
and the guilt of his violent outbursts haunted him till his death. People who knew him said that.
Yeah. Yeah. I 100% believe that that is possible.
Yeah.
But and at the time, I mean, you're talking about the 60s. They're not gonna, mental or approaches to adapting to high stress situations. Like
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't something that people just knew, right? And if you had to seek help, you were crazy.
Right.
That's definitely not gonna come from somebody in law enforcement or a police chief by any means. Like,
Right.
but I could totally
Well,
see that.
I think also the fact that what the confession when it was ruled inadmissible, he probably got a lot of heat from from the other police officers like we got him, we had him and you fucked it
You
up.
let it go.
And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think the disgrace just living like and just at that
And that
time
probably
being
caused the additional stress.
yeah, I think stress
Yeah.
caused his heart failure. I think he was
Sure.
stressed. He
43.
probably
Jeez.
yeah.
That's young.
So after Ed Gein's arrest in 1957, investigators began to wonder if his crimes went beyond Mary Hogan and Beatrice Warden and like the other body parts. They knew it went
Of
further than
course.
that. They didn't really
Yes.
have the names of those people, but they
Yeah.
knew that it was connected. And I
Right.
guess, back then they didn't have like this DNA that they can connect it to this
Right.
grave site or, this hand belongs to that
Right.
person in the grave. They did.
I
So
think they would be able to have some testing to at least see if certain tissues came from the same source,
mhm,
right? So they could at least separate it in that way. Maybe not be able to identify what the source is, but at least be able to like separate like these four or five tissues all belong together.
right. I don't think so. I don't think that's what they did because I don't think they had a very I don't know.
Mm.
Once you heard that Henry what had a heart attack but he was beaten and the
Oh,
natural
he had
it
a
was
heart attack, but it was
I
an
don't think
accidental.
yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
we are, the story has a very what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word I'm looking
Sophisticated.
yeah, not a very sophisticated sheriff's department or crime
Mm.
unit. I don't think in a perfect world, yes, but I don't think it was very sophisticated. So anyway, police started quickly linking several unsolved disappearances across Wisconsin, all
Hmm.
of which had taken place after his mother's death between like 1945 to
Hmm.
1957.
Hmm.
Authorities questioned him about these cases after discovering Hogan's remains in the home, but Gain denied any involvement with the cases that they were asking him about. He even passed multiple lie detectors. Psychiatrists who examined him later concluded that his violence seems to be focused only on women who remind
Sure.
him of his mother,
Yes.
older, strong willed, and usually living alone.
Hmm.
Still, the missing persons cases surrounding him were too strange to ignore, and here are some of the cases that they questioned him about.
Okay.
First one was the disappearance of Georgia Jean Reckler, 1947. Georgia, only 8 years old, vanished near her home in Wisconsin around 3:30
Hmm.
p.m. on May 1st, 1947.
Mm-hmm.
She had been given a ride home from school by a neighbor who dropped her off at the family farm, and that was the last time anybody ever saw her. A witness reported seeing a dark colored, possibly black 1936 Ford sedan near the Reckler's home that afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
A chilling detail since Gein owned a black 1937 Ford at the time. Despite massive searches, no trace of Georgia was ever found, and he denied his involvement in this case. So we don't know.
So for Georgia
Um,
on his property, like there was nothing of her.
mm-mm.
Yeah.
Next one, the case of Evelyn Grace Hartley, 1953. Evelyn, 14, disappeared on the night of October 24th, 1953, while babysitting a 20-month-old child at home of Viggo Rasmussen, a professor at La Crosse State College. Now, when Evelyn failed to call during her usual check-in at 8:30 p.m.,
Mm-hmm.
her father phones the home she was at several times but got no answer.
Mm-hmm.
He drove over and he found the doors locked. He looked inside the window and noticed that the lights were on, the radio was on, and the house was in disarray.
Mm-hmm.
Vigo also arrived to his home shortly after that and opened the door. And they both walked in and they noticed that the furniture had been moved. Evelyn's school books were scattered. One of her shoes was at the top of the steps, the other one was in the living room. Her broken glasses were found on the floor, but Evelyn was gone.
Mm-hmm.
Now, after his arrest, Gein was questioned about her disappearance. He denied involvement and passed another two polygraph tests, and investigators found no evidence or remains linking him to her case.
Oh, I
Um,
just wonder, with the 20-month-old, was the 20-month-old asleep at least?
yeah,
Because they're like
she was alive.
left home alone. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, the
I'm just
baby was
thinking my
okay.
granddaughter, you know.
Now, the next one, the disappearance of Victor Travis and Raymond Borges, which I don't feel is connected because they're men, but
Yeah,
they
yeah,
did
yeah.
question him about this. So this
Mm-hmm.
was in November 1952. Victor Harold Travis, 42, of Adams County, went deer hunting with a friend, Raymond Burgess.
Mm-hmm.
Late that afternoon, they stopped for drinks at Mac's Bar in Plainfield,
Mm-hmm.
not too far from Gaines' property. The men left around 7 p.m., where they would never seen again. Their car also
Hmm.
vanished without a trace. The two men had been hunting near Gaines' land, and according to the neighbors, that made him angry. So neighbors remember him complaining about those
Oh,
two men
trust.
hunting around the property. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
why they kind of connected the dots there.
sure.
But once again, he was like, no, didn't do it. Don't know. And the last one I'm going to mention is the disappearance of James Walsh. Gein was also loosely connected to the June 1954 disappearance of his neighbor, James Walsh, age 32. After Walsh vanished, Gein began doing chores and odd jobs for Mrs. Walsh, which locals later found unsettling. No evidence ever tied him
Yeah.
directly to the disappearance, but the timing and the proximity kept his name on the investigators' list. While all four of these cases remain unsolved, none were ever formally linked to Gein beyond suspicion and circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
The evidence suggests his crimes were disturbing but limited, focused on the two women that he killed and the corpses that he stole to build his macabre world.
Mm.
Still, in small towns of Wisconsin, people whispered for decades that there may have been more than those two
Sure.
women. Well, they know
Yeah.
there were more than those two women. They just don't have the identities of the other people in that house.
Right.
That's freaky.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So on November 21st, 1957, Ed Gein was officially charged with first-degree murder for the death of Beatrice Warden. He entered a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. Doctors quickly diagnosed him with schizophrenia, declaring him mentally unfit to stand trial.
Mm.
He was sent to the Central State Hospital for the Criminally Insane in Wisconsin, a maximum security psychiatric facility. Years later, the institution would become would be known as the Dodge Correctional Institution. I guess they changed the name.
Mm-hmm.
I guess criminally insane isn't politically correct anymore.
Well, yeah,
What else are you going to call it? Gein? I don't know.
yeah.
So After several years of treatment, Gain was later transferred to the Medoton Medical Health Institute in Madison, where doctors
Hmm.
continued to study his mental state.
Hmm.
By 1968, psychiatrists determined that Gain was mentally able to confer with counsel and participate in his defense.
Okay.
His trial began on November 7th, 1968, and it lasted 1 week. During the testimony, a psychiatrist revealed that Gain had said he wasn't sure if Beatrice Warden's death was intentional or accidental. According to his account, he had been examining a 22 caliber rifle inside the warden's hardware store when it accidentally discharged, killing
Mm.
her.
So was it a gun inside the store? Like he was like, you know, I want to purchase this 22 caliber. May I,
So
can I look at it? And yeah,
I guess
okay.
so. Yeah.
I'm just wondering.
He claimed he never aimed the gun at her and couldn't remember what happened after. At the defense's request, the trial was held without a jury, with Judge Robert H. Goldmere presiding. On November 14th, the judge found Gain guilty of murder. However, a second phase of the trial focused on Gain's sanity at the time of the crime.
Mm-hmm.
After hearing from doctors from both sides, the judge ruled him not guilty by reason of insanity. So, which is crazy. I know. I guess they just didn't want to send him to jail. They wanted to keep him in the mental institution. They wanted to keep him in the asylum, I guess.
They
Um,
wanted to study him.
yeah, true. Yep.
Mm.
Gain was committed once again to the Central State Hospital for the Criminally Insane, where he remained for the rest of his life. The judge later wrote that because of the cost and the complexity of the case, Gain was only tried for one murder, and that was Beatrice Warden, even though he had admitted to killing Mary Hogan as well and her
Mm-hmm.
remains being in his house.
Mm-hmm.
So after Gain's arrest, his house, outbuildings, and the 195-acre farm were appraised for $4,700, which is roughly 51,000 today.
Oh,
An
wow.
auction, I know, is probably dead land. It's probably
Sure.
like you can't grow anything, can't do anything.
Yeah.
Just just good for like sheep. I don't know.
Sheep.
So because they can eat anything. Those buggers can eat anything.
Yeah.
So there's an auction. There was an auction planned for March 30th, 1958, and rumors quickly spread that somebody might turn the property into like a tourist attraction.
Mm.
But on the morning of March 20th, 1958, just 10 days before the auction, the farmhouse burned to the ground. The
Convenient.
deputy, the deputy fire marshal reported that it was a garbage fire that had been set like 75 feet away from the house, and that the coals just like flew in the air and the house caught fire or whatever. Um,
75 feet.
yeah, well,
Hmm.
I guess they were just burning garbage, which is normal on those
Yeah.
properties.
Right.
However, like the flames hadn't spread naturally from the garbage pile to the
Hmm.
house, suggesting arson. So they could tell that the fire didn't naturally migrate that way. And
Hmm.
somehow the house went ablaze. So
Interesting.
the cause of the fire was never officially determined, and some speculated that local residents simply didn't try very hard to save it.
Hmm.
Frank Warden, the Plainfield fire chief and the son of Gaines' victim,
Hmm.
Beatrice Warden, was among one of the first on the scene. And it said that he didn't rush to put it out. And
Sure.
I honestly think the town burned it down. I think they
Sure.
wanted to forget. They
Yeah.
didn't want to be reminded of what he
Yeah.
did.
I mean, just think of the black eye, but Plainfield,
Yeah,
Wisconsin on the map. And if
I
that's
know.
what you're known for, ugh. Yeah.
Yeah. When Gain heard about the fire from jail, he reportedly shrugged it and said, just as well.
Hmm.
His old Ford sedan, which he had used to haul the bodies of the victims, was later sold at the public auction for $760, which is about 8,300 today.
Hmm.
And it was sold to a carnival operator named Bunny Gibbons.
Mm.
Gibbons charged visitors 25 cents to see the car in his traveling sideshow.
Hmm.
The whereabouts of the car today is unknown. That's sad. I would love to know where that
I
car
bet
is.
it's in like a storage unit somewhere, right?
Probably.
Because when the traveling circuses or like the sideshows or whatever like were super popular, and then they just kind of like died out because it wasn't really a thing anymore. And a lot of people
Right.
ended up putting the stuff that they had just like in a storage unit
Mm-hmm.
in the junkyard, or somewhere. I bet it's in a storage unit or like in a warehouse
Right.
somewhere. Yeah.
Has to be. Has to be. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sure they can find it if they try.
I'm sure.
They can try to track it down.
Mm.
So Ed Gain spent the remainder of his life confined to the mental health facility. On July 26th, 1984, he died of respiratory failure due to lung cancer at the age of
Mm.
77.
Mm.
He was buried in Plainfield Cemetery between his parents and his brother. Over
Oh.
the years, souvenir seekers chipped away at pieces of his gravestone, eventually reducing it to rubble.
Sure.
In 2000, the entire grave marker was stolen, and it was later recovered in June 2001, found near Seattle, Washington, and it was placed in like a storage unit
Mhm.
in the sheriff's department when it was found. So it didn't go back to where it was. Since then, Ed's grave site is totally unmarked, and it's going to remain that way.
But they would be able to know where he is, like if people, it's public knowledge, right? So he's buried between his mother and his father. They're gonna know he's there, even though it's not
Right.
marked. But so are people taking the gravestone as like a souvenir? Not
They were
necessarily.
chipping, they were
Yeah,
chipping away at the stone and taking
yeah,
pieces of the stone, and then somebody
yeah,
took the whole freaking thing
yeah.
and they found it. But I
Wow.
think it's quite fitting that he shouldn't have a gravestone.
Sure.
He's one of America's most infamous killers. I don't think, I don't know.
Did he really know what he was doing was wrong?
I don't think so. I think he was a sick person.
Yeah.
I don't think he thought, I think he was, I mean, I'm not crazy. I don't know, but like, I can't tell you what he was thinking, but
Sure.
I think there's a reason why he didn't stand trial at the time was because
Yeah.
he truly was not capable of understanding his behavior or
Actions. Yeah.
what he did.
Huh. I was curious.
So Ed Gein's story has left an enormous mark on American culture. His name became synonymous with horror, inspiring everything from movies to music to novels and even theater.
Mm.
The first major retelling of his crimes came in Robert Bloch's 1959 novel Psycho, which I believe you're reading
Oh
right
no,
now.
I'm reading American Psycho.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a story loosely based on Gaines' life. The
Hmm.
book was adapted a year later into Alfred Hitchcock's 1960 film, which turned Psycho into one of the most famous horror movies ever made. Yeah. After that, his crimes inspired or directly shaped films like Deranged, 1974, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Mm.
1974, In the Light of the Moon, 2000, Ed Gein, The Butcher of Plainfield, 2007, Ed Gein, The Musical, 2010, and even Rob Zombie's cult films like House of a Thousand Corpses,
Mm-hmm.
2003, and The
Mm-hmm.
Devil's Rejects,
Mm-hmm.
2005. So I've
Mm-hmm.
never seen those movies, but
I
he's
have,
pretty
yeah.
talented.
I've seen both of them. I've seen The Devil's Rejects a number of times.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So Ed also became the blueprint for some of Hollywood's most recognizable fictional killers,
Mm-hmm.
such as Norman Bates from Psycho, Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo Bill from The Silence of the Lambs,
Mm.
Garland Green from Con Air, and Dr. Oliver Thredson in a American Horror Story Asylum.
Oh. They're coming
So,
out with a new American Horror Story, season
are they?
13. Yes.
All right, cool.
Stand by,
So,
stand by.
Gaines' disturbing story also found its way into music. Like the American grunge band Tad wrote Nipple Belt in 1989. Another one was a thrash metal legend Slayer released
Mm-hmm.
Dead Skin Mask. I remember we spoke about this
Mm-hmm.
during when we spoke about Jennifer's Body, we spoke about Slayer and the
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
The other one is Blind Melon Skins in 1995.
They
So,
had another song other than the All I can say is my life is pretty lame. That's Blind Melon.
oh, okay.
Mm.
That's probably, I didn't know that they sung
It's not,
that. I don't.
but that was like they have a different song other than that because it's the only song I know him for.
So even in fiction, his name appears in
Hmm.
American Psycho. the 1991 novel, which you're
Yes,
reading now,
that's what I'm
right?
reading. Yes.
And it's also a 2000 film. So the killer, Patrick Bateman, mistakenly attributes a quote to Gein
Yes.
about seeing a pretty girl walking down the street and
Yep.
wondering what her head would
Would
look
look.
like on a stick. The line
Yes.
is actually comes from another serial killer, Edmund Kemper,
Uh-huh.
but it shows how strongly Gain's name had become tied to some of
Hmm.
the darkest parts of pop culture.
I've read that part and I was like, that's not right. But I'm also wondering if the author did that intentionally based on like the characteristics of Patrick Bateman and the type of character that he was trying to portray as being completely like arrogant,
Yeah.
sociopathic, whatever. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in the part that he said this in the book, he was trying to tell it as like a joke
Yeah.
because they were talking about women. They were, womanizing and talking about he refers to women that he finds attractive as hard bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, they were talking about one hard body. And he's like, well, you know what Ed Gain said? They're like, who's Ed Gain? And another guy chimes in, oh, he's got this obsession with serial killers.
Funny.
Kind of goes on from there. But when I read that, I was like, it's wrong. So I'm wondering if it's
So,
intentional.
yeah, maybe. So in 2022, actor Shane Carlwin portrayed him in Netflix's first season of Monster, which was focused on Jeffrey Dahmer's crimes, but hinted that Gaines' story had influenced Dahmer's psychology, though any real connection between the two remain purely
Okay. Yes, of course.
speculation.
Yeah.
In 2025, Netflix released Monster, the Ed Gein story, the third season of Ryan Murphy's anthology series. Actor Charlie Hunnam stars as Gein, and the season focused entirely of his life and his crimes. The series premiered on October 3rd, bringing Gein's story back into the public conversation nearly 70 years after his arrest.
Mm.
I have watched an episode and a half, and I can't get through it because they really did not do it. They did a bad job. I'm sorry.
You
They
said it was
did
his
it.
voice, right? Like the portrayal of
Yeah,
supposedly his
yeah.
voice. Yeah.
You got to just watch it, and you will
I
see what I'm
will.
talking about.
I will. And I
It's
did
a
tell
hard
Chris
watch.
about what you said about that
Mm.
because that's when he was accusing me of watching it and I haven't watched it. It's the only thing I know about is what Natalie told me.
It's a hard watch. I'll tell you, it's a hard watch. So, and that is my
So,
story about Ed
yeah.
Gein.
Did you learn anything new?
I was pretty familiar with this case to begin with,
Yeah.
so I don't know if I learned anything new, but it's just like it's a crazy story. It's a
It
crazy
is.
story that unfortunately doesn't get old
Hmm.
because of the horrific nature of his crimes. It's just
People would
horrible.
be talking about the women's suit and the nipple belts and the face shades for years and years and years and years until the
Oh
next
yeah.
person does it because it's going to
Oh
happen again.
God. You think? Oh my
Oh, yeah,
Lord.
I do. And not to say that I expect it. I'm just saying there's people who have that capability. And that's why I was asking you too, like, do you think he knew what he was doing was wrong? Because not, and that's part of the criminally insane.
Hmm.
Sometimes people get, not guilty by legal, being legally insane, but some people still know what they're doing is wrong, right?
Mm.
I'm just wondering to what capacity of wrongdoing is he aware of or was he aware of? But with that understanding, I do think somebody's gonna do it again. Like somebody, whether they know it or not, it'll get to that level. I don't think this
Yeah,
is a
I'm sure
one
in
and
other
done.
countries it already has. I
Hmm.
know there are very crazy things that happen in the dark places of this globe.
Hmm.
Like I think we spoke about it, like, there are cannibal
Yeah.
networks in certain countries. I think one of them was in Russia and
Mm.
crazy thing. I'm sure, yeah, there are,
Like I'm a willing participant for you to eat my body. Yes.
yeah, there is a case like that.
Yeah.
Right, but there are cannibal cult as of I don't know, but we should probably do the story because there really isn't a clear person, but there is a network reported on of
Hmm.
people
Hmm.
that have this dark web like system
Yeah. Yeah.
of cannibalism, and it's scary as hell. It's
There's
scary.
Okay, so I was watching reruns of Very Scary People. So it has Donnie Wahlberg as a host, which, by the
Mm-hmm.
way, I noticed that there's Very Scary People lovers. And guess who guest hosts with him? His wife, Jenny McCarthy.
Okay.
You know Jenny McCarthy, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So his wife, so she co-hosts it with him, and I was like, "Ooh, I need to stop this because I'm gonna need to watch and like not be tired like when I'm watching." So I was really excited about it. But
Mm,
they did a story on one of those for I think the episode was called The Real Hannibal,
mm-hmm.
and I put it in the back of my head going, "I mean, that's so stupid," because it was crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But thank you
all
for doing
right.
that story, and
Oh, you're welcome.
I mean, thank you. Happy
Kinda?
Thanksgiving.
Oh my God. Yeah.
At least, it's not like previous Thanksgiving ones where we've got a head boiling in a pot.
Yeah, or tinfoiled in the fridge.
Or tinfoil in the fridge, the ribs in the oven.
It's always body parts during
Eh,
Thanksgiving. It really is. We have a theme. We have a
this is
pattern.
true. This is true. Oh my gosh. But yeah,
All
no, that
right.
was great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, we wouldn't dream of leaving you hanging. For more chilling details and twists in this case and many others, check out After That Crime Chat, available exclusively on our Patreon.
And don't forget to follow us on our socials, Crime Chat with Nat and Cat on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, X, Rumble. See what we got going on.
Want more chilling content and behind the scenes chaos? Become a VIP chatter to our Patreon. You'll unlock bonus episodes, bloopers, exclusive sneak peeks, and even free merch. And yes, we've got some criminal goodies in the
Mm,
works. So
mm.
support the show, fuel your obsession with the weird and the wicked, and join the Crime Chat chatter crew in style.
Yes, and so be sure to check out our next episode. It is our first bonus episode of season 5. And as we mentioned, our theme for our premiere, our finale, and our bonus episodes for season 5 is vanished. Do you know what
Vanish.
you're
You
doing
don't.
yet?
No. Do
I
you?
do.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, either way, you don't want to miss it. It'll be great.
Yeah. We'll see you next time, chatters.
Bye.
Bye bye.